And just like the Premier League, we are back as well. This is another episode of the Rants of a Red Devil podcast. We've been away for a while. There's not been much to talk about or discuss going on. But with the Premier League restarting today, as this is being recorded, we've got City, Arsenal, and Sheffield United, Villa. The important game is Friday, United Spurs. We'll have a preview of that shortly. And yeah, we're back. So, United had a couple of pre-season friendlies and we were all excited about the Pogba-Bruno combination. That combination played together and lost to West Brom. Whether that's anything to read into or not. But the reports are suggesting that United are preparing a starting 11 for the game against Spurs on Friday without Paul Pogba. Obviously, he's just returned from injury, so that could be a contributing factor. Or it could be that Pogba-Fernandes partnership just doesn't work and Fernandes is higher in the pecking order at the moment. Who knows? Who knows what we'll see? We might see Pogba and Bruno, nobody really knows. But the rumour is that United are preparing for that game without Pogba in the starting 11. Spurs have obviously got Kane back, got Son back, but they are without Dele Alli and I can never forget the young defender's name. They are without Tanganga as well. Now, I said before the lockdown, before the coronavirus thing, that United would beat Spurs. United would beat Spurs and qualify for the top four. With Rashford back, even though Spurs have got Kane back, I still think that we will beat them and we will make the top four. I still believe that is a realistic possibility. I think we'll beat, like I say, I think we'll beat Spurs. I think we've got too much for them, especially with Rashford back and firing on all cylinders. Hero on the pitch, hero off the pitch after forcing the government to make a U-turn over the free school meals for kids throughout the summer, and we commend him on that. We've put an article up on site today discussing the impact that Rashford's having off the field as well as on the field. Now, before we took the short break from releasing these podcasts, we asked you to DM us some of your questions on Twitter and Facebook. We had a few good ones, so we've picked 3 that we're going to answer today. So the first question that was sent in to us is, how many players do United need to sign before we realistically challenge for the Premier League? Personally, I think 3 or 4. It's all about squad depth. I think we can make a couple of signings and that starting 11 looks dangerous, but there's not much there. So, for instance, if we see Pogba go or we see Pogba injured again and anything happens to Bruno, we're left back with Jesse Lingard, Andreas Pereira. That's where the squad depth, I think, is important. As we've raved on about a lot on this channel and this show, Jadon Sancho is a must. Dan James has done phenomenally well since he moved to United from Swansea. We're not disputing the fact that he hasn't done well. But what we are saying is that he needs support, he needs help. He's still a young lad, still learning his craft, and he's played far too much football this season through no fault of his own or through no fault of Solskjaer's. There just hasn't been the options there. So bringing in Jadon with Dan James as sort of a backup works. Midfield, possibly a defensive midfielder. Centre back, probably want some cover. Maybe a replacement for Lindelof and have him as the cover. Maybe somebody like a Dayot Upamecano or somebody of that ilk, just to really kick the defence on. And then a few squad players, I think, to add to that depth. Like we say, the depth is the key. So somebody like maybe a Jack Grealish or somebody like that. Obviously, it depends what the transfer budget allows. But I think we're 3 or 4 signings away from being considered serious title contenders. And if we bring those right 3 or 4 players in, I honestly believe that we can challenge for the league without a shadow of a doubt. Second question. Thoughts on the Glazers? Where do you start with that? Don't particularly like them. Don't particularly like the way that they have gained control of the club by levying it with debt. I don't like that at all. I don't like the fact that they don't listen to the fans. But, and this isn't a defence of the Glazers by any stretch of the imagination, because if they were to sell the club tomorrow, provided it was sold to somebody that had the club's interests at heart and were willing to invest, I'd happily snap the hand off. But it cannot be said that the Glazers have not invested in that squad. I think a lot of the transfers that have been made have been the wrong transfers. A lot of them. Alexis Sanchez being the main focal piece on that. Possibly Marouane Fellaini. But we cannot deny that the Glazers haven't spent money. Granted, it might be Man United's money, but it's been spent. I think the last window in which Ollie was in charge, bringing in Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Dan James, was the best window that we've had since Sir Alex, in terms of bringing in the right personnel to fit that squad. And the Glazers did heavily invest last summer. Let's hope they heavily invest again this summer to get those 3 or 4 players that we've just discussed to make us real title challengers. But my overall thoughts on them: don't particularly like them. Don't particularly like the debt surrounding the club. Don't particularly like that they continue to pull money from the club to line their own back pocket. But can't say that they haven't invested. And the final question that we picked to answer today is Ollie the right man for the job? Without giving this a resounding yes, I don't know what to say. I mean, the mood's improved massively. We've got a clear, defined look to the side and where he wants that to go, which we haven't had in a long time. In seasons gone by, we've taken that scattergun approach of just signing everybody that's a name, trying to take that Real Madrid Galactico approach that hasn't worked. Ollie's now not taking that approach. He's looking at who fits the system. He's looking at who is the right man to bring into the squad that will fit the rest of the team. Doesn't have to be the biggest name. Look at Dan James, look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But he's brought them in and they've done well. And if that's anything to go by, and if he keeps continuing to do that, then I think we're in for a long, successful spell under him. The other question that needs to be asked when we always ask, is Ollie the right man for the job, is who else is there? A lot of people will be quick to point at Mauricio Pochettino. I'll be quick to ask, what's he ever done in management? He came third in a 2-horse race with the best Spurs squad that's ever been in my lifetime, and he's not won anything. Granted, he's managed to manage a couple of big names in Harry Kane, Dele Alli, but he's done nothing really in terms of actually achieving anything in the game. He did well at Southampton, but he did no better than Koeman. But nobody clamours for Ronald Koeman. He did okay at Spurs, but again, did he? When we look at the numbers, I don't think, I might be wrong on this, and correct me if I am by all means, but actually looking at the numbers, I don't think he's done much better than Andre Villas-Boas, and nobody wants him in football. let alone at Man United. So, I mean, shy of, I don't know, Pep Guardiola magically becoming available and putting his whole past with City to one side and going, I really want to manage United. I don't think there's anybody out there better than Ollie. Ollie knows the club inside out. He has got the players playing for him. The mood looks happy. The camp looks happy. It's also football that I actually want to watch. Under Jose Mourinho, regardless of if we were winning or not, the football was so dull. I fell out of love with the game. I started to think, I'd rather do something else. I'm busy today. I've got jobs to do. Should I watch the match? And that's how I felt, and I've never missed many games in my life. But under Ollie, I want to watch football again. He's just brought that feel-good factor back, not just to the players, but for the fans as well. And yes, I think he's 100% the right man for the job. And I hope he stays there for a long time and we're successful under him. That is, I guess, the end of today's podcast. We've got the game coming up on Friday. There'll be a match review on site, as always, after a game, although it's been a while. Rantsofareddevil.com. Check that out. Check out our other articles, the one about Rashford that we released today. You can follow us on Twitter, @RantDevil. We try to get breaking news up and on site as soon as it breaks. And please, wherever you listen to this podcast, if it's on iTunes or Spotify, hit the subscribe button. If you watch it on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out. It helps the channels out. And until next time, which who knows when that'll be, next week, hopefully sometime. But you'll catch us on site with the match review, like I say. So until then, let's hope we get 3 points against Spurs, and I'm sure we will. And we'll see you next time.